Draft Bastards!
Welcome to Draft Bastards, a podcast that features four brothers consuming and reviewing craft and microbrews from the New England area, all while discussing the topic of the day. This episode will be taking a look at a couple of craft beers from Barewolf Brewing Company out of Amesbury, Massachusetts. These tasty brews will provide the fuel needed to talk about today's subject, HBO's upcoming Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon. So sound the horn and call the banners. It's time for the show. Buenos dias, bonjour, and guten tag. Welcome to episode 3 of Draft Bastards. My name is Jay O'Neill, and I'll be your moderator. With me again are my bro hosts. I got Mikey.
Cheers, bro.
And we got Baru.
What up?
And we got Kevin.
Evening.
Baru, it's good to have you back in the studio. We missed your energy last time.
It's good to be back, Buster.
We've got an episode today that I think is fair to say we have been biting at the bit to do. Not only will we talk about our hopes and fears for the Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, but we will first discuss the Game of Thrones show as a whole, what we liked, unanswered questions, and of course, the airing of the grievances. But before we dive in, Baru, why don't you tell us what we'll be drinking today?
Alrighty then. So, Jay and I did manage to get out and visit this brewery there called Barewolf Brewing out of Amesbury, Massachusetts. I like being able to visit the brewery before we do the show.
I'm into that
I don't know if it's something we'll be able to do each and every time, but it certainly is a bonus. So anyways, yeah, we went to visit this place, super cool place. It's in an old antique mill building right near downtown Amesbury, and it's kind of small, but it's super cool. So
Very chill.
yeah, super cool. So our bartender was the master brewer there. His name was Matt. He was super cool to us. Thanks, Matt. Told us a lot about the place. One thing that's really interesting about Barewolf Brewing is they have a constantly changing list of brews. They do not have like a particular, beer that kind of, sticks right out and like that's their brand or whatever. Like their whole philosophy is like, you only live once. We just keep trying new things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty cool. At first, I was like kind of like, "Hey, are you sure about this?" And you never know. So we tried a lot of different beers from them, and they're really interesting beers. They're really trying to make an identity for themselves for sure. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. So yeah, this first one we're gonna try is a porter.
7.5%.
Yep, Barewolf Brewing. They call this one percussive maintenance.
Get it while you can.
Yeah, and one of their brewers actually draws all of the designs on the label. So we're going to go ahead and crack
I'm checking out the label.
Yeah, let's
it's
crack
like old-timey tools.
Yeah. No, it's super cool.
Also, it's very simple, too. I appreciate a simple label.
Yeah. The logo for like Barewolf Brewing on this can reminds me of like the intro to, the Pink Panther like cartoon.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Crack them.
There we
Cracking
go.
'em.
Cracking it.
And pouring.
Oh, man. We're starting to see signs of success with Draft Bastards because we're all pouring beers in the glasses now. I mean,
That's how you know we've made it.
we've seriously been elevated at this point. We're drinking like gentlemen.
It's got a good frothy head on it, too.
Mm-hmm. Jay and I tried it. It was definitely our favorite one that we tried the other day.
Agreed.
During our visit.
Now I'm excited. That's kind of a bold move to not have a flagship beer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On that point, though, we did the lead brewer there, Matt. He was telling about how they have a deal right now with Night Shift.
Yeah.
Where they're going to be they're doing some distribution now. So I think they're going to have like 2 beers, which will kind of be their staple. They're something that they can constantly ship out.
I don't think it's necessary, but it's just something you don't see.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Well, they're being pretty creative, and they've survived the pandemic so far.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
That was one thing that kind of, was a sign of, that they're doing something right. I mean, it's a relatively small brewing space, and, these guys have managed to stay open through everything for, I think, 4 years now.
Yeah. They have open mics and food trucks, the whole nine. Game room when it's not COVID.
Okay,
that goes down much lighter than it looks.
They usually do.
Yeah.
Yeah, porters are always surprising. Like a good porter is probably like, my second favorite type next to like a good IPA.
Yeah.
I love them.
The thing that always surprises me about a good porter is, man, I hate licorice, but I like the kind of licorice notes.
Yeah.
Licorice and nuts or whatever's in here.
Right.
It's tasty.
Right, I'm right there with you.
Hang on, let me take another sip and we'll see if I can put a pin on that. I'm getting a bit of coffee. Not too heavy, but there's like coffee, roasted nuts, licorice.
I find that it's difficult to find a porter that doesn't have coffee in it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head and I can't.
Right. I'm just saying, anytime you go to like a place that has a lot of beers on tap, you look at the porters and it's like such and such coffee.
I just thought coffee was part of porter.
Yeah, right. Like if they have 4 porters, probably 3 of them have coffee in it.
Yeah. Chocolate.
It's
Anyways,
like
I
a
love it.
mocha is chocolate and coffee, and the porter is beer and coffee.
Now that you mention it, Mike, I'm really picking up the coffee in this one. It's good though, man. I mean, if you like a porter, I don't know. It's a good porter.
Yeah, get up there before it's gone.
It's sweet, but it has a really dry finish too. I'm feeling like that dryness in the back of my throat.
Mm-hmm. Seriously, if you're local to Amesbury and you like really enjoy trying different things and you're tired of all the beers you get, in the regular liquor store, like, give this place a shot. I think it's cool as hell. You can always get something different.
Hell yeah.
Bro, you thirsty?
This is only half the beer. The other half is in the can.
Okay.
Damn! I'm staring at Baru's empty glass. Everything okay, Baru?
Yeah. Man, I could
It's
feel,
okay. We're not mad at you for being late.
That was weird. I could feel you guys like getting scared for a second. Like, shit, what did you just do? No. I
gonna be one of
poured
those
out half my
nights.
beer. I want to see what it tasted like in the can. So,
So we ready to get this show started?
Are we?
ready when you are.
We are.
Game
We're
of
talking
Thrones?
about Game of Thrones, bro.
What was that show about again?
It was about time.
Yeah, it was about...
What did they do in that show?
It
It's like
used to be about-
Gelflings and Skeksis and stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
It used to be about some cool stuff, and then it wasn't about some cool stuff. And
Yeah.
We're going to work off the assumption that anybody sticking around for the rest of this episode has watched Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
So
spoilers ahead.
So we
Oh,
will
spoilers.
not be explaining every little detail that we come across. So I'd like to start with the unanswered questions that the original Game of Thrones series left us. Now, Mikey is the book reader in the room. So he will have he will have different insight into these topics, but the rest of us are show watchers. So the disclaimer has been disclaimed. Unanswered questions, the biggest ones. There's some really big ones out there that I don't know about you guys, but have bugged the fuck out of me.
Like what, Jay?
Well, all right.
Lead the way.
Besides, I will lead the way. Besides what Podrick did to those women.
Mm-hmm.
He sang to them.
He sang to him. Mystery solved. What's next?
Motherfuckers with the fucking... Is that what that's what it says in the book?
The theory is he sang to them.
It's a theory. One of my biggest ones, and it's not the biggest one. What did Varys hear in the goddamn flames? Now, before you rush out with your answers and theories and whatever, keep in mind, this is something that we heard about since the beginning of the show. Right up until almost the end of the show, it was always hinted at, and he's got a wizard in a box and all this stuff, but they never said what he heard in the goddamn flames.
They never even gave you a fucking hint. And I'm hoping that gets resolved in the books later on, because honestly, I have no idea. I would have liked to have known. I thought there was a great opportunity to find out.
So many opportunities.
One in particular, when he's speaking with the Red Priestess. Do you want me
Which
to tell you?
Red Priestess? The one that
The
said
first
she was
one
going
that
to
he
tell
met.
him?
Yeah. Yeah.
So not
that one's fine.
Melisandre, but the other one that said, hey, do you want to know? Yeah. Do you want to know what the voice said?
Yeah, I'd like to know what he said.
I want to know what happened to Kinvara after her one appearance. She seemed kind of significant.
We kind of forgot about her.
Just a heads up, we are disgruntled about how the show ended.
We've had some time to settle
That will
down.
be part of the airing of grievances. Let's try and answer some
I
unanswered questions.
gotta leak it out a little bit here and there. Otherwise, it's just going to build up and it's not going to be good.
One of the theories is that what Varys heard is what, Mikey, help me out. Who heard in the flames that, the only good death is purifying fire or something like that?
It was Stannis' wife?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that was it. I forget the exact quote, but it was something like, to die by fire is the purest way to die.
You hear that from all the Red Priestesses, yeah.
Right. And so I wonder if that's what Varys heard. Did he hear his own fate? Was that what he was so concerned about? Did he hear his own fate? And that's why it freaked him out. I mean, there was times where he was almost like crying, when he would try and remember that.
Quite possibly. But here's the thing. When that happened, when there was a voice speaking from the flames to Varys when he was a child, he had just had his, balls cut off and they were thrown into the fire. I don't think the voice was talking to Varys. I think the voice was talking to the wizard. I don't know.
He was still upset. We knew he had the wizard in the box.
Yep.
And then he met the priestess who still shook him.
That was a pretty traumatizing event. But like I said, I think a lot of people think like you do, like what did the voice say to him? The voice wasn't talking to him. The voice was talking to the sorcerer.
Right.
With using his parts.
But he heard a voice.
The follow-up question.
He heard a voice.
He heard a voice.
Would you like to know the name of the one who spoke? Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh. That sounded ominous. And moving on.
Well, okay.
We're going to just forget about all that.
I'll continue it really quick. Speaking of the Lord of Fire people and everything who are so magical.
Sure.
Right. Prince was promised. What happened? Where, who was it?
Azor Ahai.
Azor Ahai.
Yeah. It could be two different things.
Well, let's go off the show, not off the book, which I know has like a whole specific thing. But even in the show, you had Melisandre going around, ooh, Princess Promise. Nope, not Stannis. Must be, maybe it's Jon Snow.
The Azor Ahai does tie into the Prince that was promised because they both have the sword.
Yeah.
Okay. And you see Stannis pull the sword out of the statues of the seven.
Yeah.
That they light him on fire on the beach. And he pulls the sword out, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And it's the last time Lightbringer was mentioned.
Is it?
They never bring it up after that.
It's very prevalent in the books.
And I know you have your theory.
I have my theory, but it's a long theory, so we'll save that for another day.
Well, or we'll save that for the theories segment.
This is,
you.
The theories can go into, you can bring up theories to answer these unanswered questions. That's the whole fucking point. They're unanswered questions. Give me your theory.
So, non-theory. In the books, Jon has dreams about finding the red sword. Jaime has dreams about holding a glowing sword. So it's a recurring theme in the book that something will eventually happen with this, but because George Martin is an amazing writer, it's going to be hidden. And you get to choose which one you want to believe. You get to choose who was the actual Azor Ahai.
And instead, the two most significant kills in the show were with fucking daggers. No glowing sword. No glowing sword.
Wait a minute. I know one of them that you're talking about, but what's the other one that you're talking about?
The Night King and Dany.
That was a dagger?
That was a dagger.
I'm trying to remember.
That was a
dagger.
That was a sigh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. So the prince that was promised fizzled for me. I would have loved that story or something to come of it. Anything.
Pick up a book.
Well, fuck off. I'm not going to read a book. All right.
Yeah, he also wants to know how it ends.
I would love to know how it ends.
Well,
the last thing that happened in the books, guys, the last thing that happened in the books was Jon Snow died. That's how far back the books are.
Yeah, he's not even alive in your world. Other unanswered shit. Dario.
Yep.
He's in Dragon's Bay.
Yep.
Formerly Slaver's Bay.
Yep.
So my question would be, what happened after Dany left?
I like to think Dario
what happened
turns into a warlord.
Yeah, I could see that.
As soon as Dany left, like certain cities, they just went right up into upheaval and were seized into power by this bad guy and that bad guy.
They hinted that in the show too.
Yeah.
So like a benevolent warlord.
No, just warlord.
I think he's going to be a warlord. right?
In her name or just...
She's dead.
What? Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking of the
Oh,
wrong...
we're thinking after, in the wake of her death. Okay.
Who's Dario again? I'm thinking of the wrong guy. I know I'm thinking of the wrong person.
The swordsman
So that was Arya's fencing trainer.
No.
What was his name?
That's
That was
Syria Farrell.
Serial.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dario was Dany's lover.
Consort.
Yes, out in the desert. What was the name of his company?
The Second Sons.
The Second Sons. He was the leader of the Second Sons. Or not, he killed the leaders of the Second Sons and became the leader of the Second Sons.
All right.
Yeah, he was actually played by two different actors.
Right.
When he was
Okay,
first
yeah,
introduced, and then, But I guess in the books he had a purple beard or whatnot.
Yeah, purple forked beard.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that going on that side of the world.
That would have been interesting to see on TV.
Might have taken me out of the moment.
Yeah, it might have. Might have been a little
that's
too
why
shocking.
they didn't go with the purple eyes, the Targaryens, because you lose a lot of life when you use the contacts.
Yeah.
They didn't go with the contacts because, what's her name? Emilia Clarke was complaining about him.
Yeah.
It's called craft. You would have had the budget for CGI the next episode. Small grievance.
Small grievance. Well,
insignificant
but
grievance.
to finish that thought up, though, I'm curious what happened on that part of the world. I thought Dario for sure would have showed up at the end of that.
The second he leaves, though, there's a power vacuum, and then you got to fight all over again, and now you got to do it without Dany.
Right. Speaking of leaving and coming back, didn't Melisandre leave for Volantis for no reason?
Yep.
And then
I think she... I don't know if I just think this, if it was said, but I think she went to go consult with the Red Priestesses.
And came back, lit some swords on fire, and that was that.
What was their plan before?
They had no plan. They had no plan.
There's no plan. It's not like they're all trained to fire arrows from horseback. Nice obsidian-tipped arrows. That bet those would have been helpful.
Yeah.
Those would have worked great.
Seem to remember them making a lot of arrowheads, too.
Yeah, lots.
Yep.
Yeah, that whole episode was so backwards.
Here, Sam, have a bow.
All right, I'm going to get into what really grinds my gears.
Do it.
All right.
Here we
ready?
go, finally.
This is what grinds my gears. This is the big question.
I'm perfectly fine with going off the rails and just ranting for 2 hours, by the way. I'm fine with that.
Who was the man
Me.
that the Children of the Forest chose to be their weapon? Who was the man that became the Night King? Now, for such a freaking important character in the goddamn story, we know surprisingly little about this, except for that one little flashback. And who do we know that could have done more flashbacks to find out more? Anybody. Who could have...
If only there was someone...
If only there was someone that could have gone back and see who this person was. Now, there's a ton of theories out there that the Night King was originally a Stark, which I love because their connection between the Walkers and the Starks, that all jives. And it would have been so cool if they could have revealed that the Starks of Winterfell find out that the Night King is coming, and the Night King was or is a Stark.
Mm-hmm.
That is their great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather.
It's something.
You don't look right.
I'd much rather
right
know
in the head.
what his motivation is.
Because we
rather
never
than
found out his
who he
motivation.
was. I feel like that's more important.
Anything about him would have been
Something.
good. A story.
A word.
And stop making him fucking smile.
Oh, that was
Oh, Christ. I know.
so bad.
Little stuff like that matters.
He only did it once, though, right? Or
No,
was it
once
twice?
too many. Just once.
He did it once in his final appearance.
That was Sapochnik directed that one, right?
My contract is up. Smile.
All right, now give a little smile.
And cut.
We got it, guys.
Guys, that's a wrap. Thank you, Night King, for your service. That just cherry on the sundae.
Yeah, I'm getting mad.
Great show, though.
Get
Great
mad.
show.
Get mad. Let it out.
There's
Mike.
a lot to be happy about with the show. There's a lot of good things that happened in it that I really enjoyed.
They set the bar impossibly high for themselves.
Explain.
Well, but as soon as they ran out of source material and had to start making the story decisions for
They
themselves.
made story decisions and they made cuts to the wrong places. I'm not going to rant too much about it, but the whole Dorne plot is
The whole what plot?
Dorne.
Okay.
I wouldn't even call it a side plot. I would say it's a major part of the books, where Dorne is basically has this really slow moving, super secret, coup going on, or revenge plot maybe.
Oh, but in the
books, let's kill him.
Not the books, but the
show. Yes.
The show.
Yeah,
They just killed him.
He's a really, really cool character.
What can you do? Although, after they did that little coup, it did feel for Jaime for a second when his daughter died there. That was some good acting. No?
In the wake of that, when Cersei had Elara imprisoned, I feel like they missed a really good opportunity to throw one last zinger in there.
What is it?
Say like, oh, by the way, your lover's last words to me were, "We don't hurt little girls in Dorne."
Ooh. Dang.
Ooh. Snap. Want some ice for that? I'm just kidding. You're not getting any water. A lot of torture, though.
Ooh-wee. Wonder if she ever got out of there. They left her in there, huh?
They left
Because she wasn't on the council seat at the finale episode. So,
No. Well, I mean, she was in the Red Keep, and the Red Keep was completely destroyed in one episode. It was partially rebuilt in the next episode because we needed the scene to happen. But so I would just because the foundation completely caves in, but the rest of the keep is fine. Fuck you. This show used to operate on logic, so this shit really bothered me.
So what were the little spirals? Starting from episode 1 and moving up. Little White Walker spirals around.
yeah, they got rid of those.
What, they forget about?
Oh, the actual spirals.
The spirals!
Yeah, right.
Always the fucking artists.
Dude, I thought it was freaking creepy. I'm like, what are we getting into here?
Oh, yeah.
We're doing some,
I
serial
feel like they
killer
started off with, they had a goal, and then they just completely abandoned it.
shit? Guys, we can't keep doing spirals of dead body parts. Can't be doing that.
Well, they, there was another one that appeared, I forget how it happened, but didn't, a fairly young boy's body get, dismembered and arranged on a wall?
Yeah.
In a spiral?
Yeah, that was...
That was, weird.
That was like
The
that was a
Umbers.
callback to the spiral.
Yeah.
That was... I forget the kid's name.
Successor to the Umber House. It wasn't John, though. Because Big John died on the battlefield. Small
Ned
John.
Umber. Ned Umber.
Yeah, that was when the walkers were making their way down south to wipe
to
everybody
do
out.
something.
Something.
And they brought back
evil.
the spiral for a second. But it still...
Is it like a mark of territory or like a warning or something?
I wonder if it's like one of the only memory that the Ice King has. Or Night King, not Ice
that's
King.
interesting. Yeah.
Because
So-
of the pattern used.
Because the
in
little pattern
ritual.
that he saw when his ritual was done, that just kind of sticks in his head. He sees how to kill people, and he sees how to throw spears, and he sees spirals.
He keeps doing the spiral. Like, this is your fault, just so you know.
Exactly. Like,
Actually,
hey,
it's the children of the forest fault,
it's his
not
signature.
people's fault.
Mhm.
There's also, it could be him trying to communicate, because you've heard the other prince that was promised theory, right?
no.
Is that they were promised a prince.
Oh, the walkers were.
They were promised a prince to surrender themselves, but maybe Bram was supposed to go and surrender himself willingly to them, and that's why they're doing all this.
They were supposed to have somebody walk up and be their prince?
No, it's just a theory.
Oh.
Not be their prince, but a prince was supposed to be sacrificed to them, the prince that was promised. Then there was a theory that it's like a fringe theory, but
Yeah.
there used to be thousands of these things floating around the internet when this was still a thing. When this was still
Imagine
going
you're
on.
Bran, though, and Melisandre comes up to you and be like, now look, it's just a theory. But if you go walk out in that field, and when I say walk, I mean, roll out. But
maybe they need to assimilate more people.
speaking of which,
Yeah,
another unanswered question,
of course.
where are all the Caster's kids?
Yeah, no, there was supposed to be his 99th son, right?
Where are they?
I
I
don't know.
didn't see that many generals out there.
I think it was 12 or 13. of them.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a couple, but they didn't do anything.
They did a
Remember
lot
when
of...
you were looking forward to all these characters with Valerian steel. Like, all right, we're going to see how other guys fare against the
Magnificent
Walker.
Seven style.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just Brienne screaming. And Sam crying. And Jorah dying.
Jaime, who can barely hold a sword anymore, fighting hundreds of monsters.
Oh, the plot armor in that episode. My God.
Yeah.
That was like...
That was really hard to take.
That was battleship grade plot armor.
Yeah.
Was that...
Stop a tank with that sucker. We'll say one thing about the White Walker army. They, towards the end of the show, they seem to be the only ones that still recognize travel distance within that show.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else just started teleporting.
I don't mind the speed up thing. I mean, I get it.
I mean, it's one thing even when that show was.
Do you
at
really
its
want to
peak.
spend 2 weeks,
No,
2 episodes on a boat waiting?
How many
for
episodes did it take for Ned and Robert to get to King's Landing?
like 2
I mean, it was like
episodes,
one
but
or two.
But the trip is supposed to take 3 months,
I get it.
and I get that was a difficult thing to convey. Even when the show was at its best, that was a really hard thing to get across. Like, by the way, this is all happening over a long course of time.
Yeah. 3 months later.
I don't think it took that long because they were traveling with like a huge retainer. You know, I always
With a
assumed
swift
Westeros
horse
was
and-
about the size of England and Scotland.
And can we talk about the wasted potential of Euron Greyjoy?
I didn't like the character.
Mike, can you explain the kind of character that Euron Greyjoy was supposed to be?
He was supposed to be fucking the most savage pirate that ever savaged. He was Yellowbeard.
That would be amazing.
With a giant fucking axe.
Yeah, and he's also kind of a zealot. Thinks he's kind of a god.
Because he understands the roundness of the world, he basically tricks people into thinking he's a god. He
Yeah.
says he knows how to get places.
Yeah.
So the episode where they brought one of the whites to Cersei to show her.
Yeah.
And it started doing its zombie white thing.
Wiggle, wiggle.
And Euron, wiggle, wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle.
And Euron goes up and says, "Can they swim?" I felt like that was a good line. All right, cool. That's something that a pirate would say.
Yeah.
And he's just going to fuck off. But then, as if to clue everybody in, he might as well have turned around, looked at the camera, and winked at everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my ships
Yep.
and leave. Yeah. Fuck you, dude.
Come on.
You
I
couldn't-
think that as bad as Euron was in that scene, Cersei was worse. Nobody, granted, that season and the 8th season was a whole bunch of forgetting what kind of person Cersei is.
Yep.
You'd think she'd have pretended to be a little angrier. It's like, since when are you calm and composed when somebody straight up betrays you?
Well, clearly Euron doesn't care about Queen and country. Now then,
Moving on.
Moving
moving
right
on. Let's talk about
Forward.
this zombie here.
See, I feel like all of the corrections that could have been made to season 8 would have to start with going back to season 7 and diverting from that dumb idea. Okay, we're going to go to this part of this massive landmass, find one out of an army of, what'd you say, 100,000 plus in the most hostile environment in our world. Bring it back, still alive. Alive.
Yep.
Air quotes. And show it to our enemy.
That season also ended with a snowflake on Jaime's hand.
I
It seemed like summertime by the time season 8 came around.
I liked
again.
that scene.
Yep.
I was like, okay, now we're gonna see how King's Landing deals with winter. It's like, no, that was the only snowflake.
Yeah.
That
They
hits
must have had it
itself.
rough. That's like when Arizona gets snow. Fuck, we don't have plows. What are we going to do?
Half inch, the whole state shuts down.
was-
That's a good perspective.
I was an apologist for a long time. I'm sure you guys remember. I really defended the show because I understand there's a lot of things that you can't do
You were in denial.
You can't translate some things from a book onto the screen. You know, now even if you did 10, 13 seasons, you still wouldn't be able to get all of that plot in. You know, it's one thing saying a sentence versus filming a sequence.
But when they had source material, I feel like that's where David and Weiss, or David and
Benioff and David Weiss.
D&D.
D&D.
I feel like...
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. I feel like that is where they shined, though, was not in writing a story and making creative choices, but in...
I agree.
Yeah,
yep.
In bringing something from a book on and putting it on the screen in a palatable way.
And that was like the most frustrating part of when it got to the last... What was the real bad one? Just the last season?
It started to stumble during season 7.
Yeah, right. I remember. So when it started to fall apart, it's like, I agree with you. I was thinking that while watching the other 6 seasons, because you watch the ending of the episode and they talk about it and this and that, and it's really interesting. Anyway, so it's like, that was like the most frustrating part of everything falling apart. It's like, you guys know what these characters are. You're all very well versed in the books. Like, I understand not fitting everything, but let's try to just stay true to the characters and not do any dumb shit. Sure. Like having the Nightwalker smile and having all these weird inconsistencies in plot armor and like
turning all these
completely illogical things.
Really smart and witty characters and just dumbass yes men.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
she's McQueen.
Yeah, that's actually a big one, Kev, though. Tyrion and Varys, you know, they had such a handle on everything. Oh, and then all of a sudden they could not do anything right.
Yeah,
like,
so
at all.
This is one of my big gripes since you're back on Varys. Like, when they captured him, that was so frustrating to me because Varys is easily one of the more interesting and dynamic characters on the show. He's just sitting there, like he knew what was going to happen, and he had no way out, and he just got caught. I'm like, come on, this is not Varys. He should have disappeared. He's got resources beyond. I mean, that's his whole thing. His whole thing is outsmarting everyone all the time.
His secrets have secrets.
3 steps ahead.
Always.
3 steps ahead, and yet he's in the Targaryen castle. In the situation that he was in, he would not
nobody
have seen
sees me writing this note.
His capture coming, yeah.
I'm going to have a really loud conversation about my impending betrayal.
Unbelievable. Very frustrating.
Yeah, and Tyrion's advice went from worse to worse to worse.
I feel like, I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but it's kind of a conspiracy theory, I guess. I felt like at a certain point, you're in the last couple seasons, so you're really trying to pay attention. And like, you're like, okay, I know characters are going to die. And it's like, you think this is going to happen, but then they just shit on another character and they kind of pick them off in a way that I think, they're going to try to maintain interest in the show. So it's like, okay, we have to kill off characters, but which ones? Okay, this one dies in the book, but I think it would be better if we lost this one because we can keep listeners because this actor's more popular.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Because it was like so weird.
I would not put that
Bronn
about D&D.
Bronn should have been done with the show, but done with his involvement in the show.
I want to know more about Bronn.
So do I. But
so he was a character I liked
Bronn
too.
Within character would have fucked off long before a lot of that shit started
I
happening.
don't know, because I've heard some people say that he's one of the Reigns of Castamere. He's like the last remaining.
No
Reigns.
way.
No, dude, imagine.
That's
I'd stick
awesome.
real close to those.
To the Lannisters.
Yeah.
He is, if that was his goal, he already had so many opportunities.
Maybe he's got a long con,
He
So
just
there's
saw
a couple of plots that I'm not to keep going back to books, guys. I'm sorry, but there's a couple of plots that are really
please go back
important
to the books.
show.
I love your book stories.
So remember when Tyrion killed Tywin?
Mm-hmm.
I sure do.
Tywin was having a shit break.
He sure
He
was.
sure
What
was.
a great scene.
So I don't even think D&D realized this because they didn't integrate it in there. But Oberyn had probably poisoned him. That's why he was shitting his brains out. Oberyn had been slowly poisoning him. Little things like that D&D did, but I don't think they know they did it. Like, they just kind of marched through what was written in the book, and they forgot to put in that little detail. Oh, by the way, just a nice little touch.
We used to think they were smart. They were good at one thing, and then they had more responsibility put in their lap than they were willing to accept.
Yeah, and they ran out of source material. The show was ending, and they were probably working on Star Wars 2 or those deals that they ended up not doing anyway.
Sure, because fuck them.
Yeah.
Don't touch Star Wars.
I was
God.
actually excited about it. But
You can't ruin Star Wars. We're ruining Star Wars.
Everyone's beer is empty, guys.
yeah, I think we're ready for round
ready
two.
for round
I'm
two?
ready for round 2.
What's round 2?
Double IPA.
Oh, this is going to be the double IPA. Yep.
I got it.
Double IPA.
Kev's got
Kev's
it.
getting up.
Perfect. Thanks, Kev. Oh, I like this can. Oh, it is black and white.
Yeah,
What was
do
this?
we got?
Phoenix something? We had trouble finding the name for this because, again,
It is
Barewolf Brewing, they change beers constantly. This can is my favorite.
Paparazzi of Outer Space.
Especially as a black metal
8.2.
fan. I mean, this can is awesome. It's totally black and white. It's got a wolf and a moon. I mean, that's metal.
Cheshire Moon.
Cracking them?
Cracking them.
Here we go.
Yeah.
These guys are doing their glasses, but
You're going from the can?
lately I'm really into beer right out of the can.
So am I, but I like keeping my mustache on.
Well, you know, you
Yeah,
gotta be
you ever lose
careful with it.
mustache hair to a can?
You ever have the can stuck
Yes.
to your mustache?
That's why I trimmed it before I came over.
These weird sounds come out of your mouth. Looks like orange juice.
Yeah.
All right, so what we say this one was 8.2%.
See, I've already tried this one, so I'm curious what maybe, you know,
Did you
Mike
try
and
it in a
Kev
can
think
or
about
draft?
this one. I had it in draft.
That's pretty smooth.
Jay,
Yeah, it
looked like
is.
you had a little overflow there. You need a napkin?
I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
The electronics are over by you, so.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I can
This is
see
like
it.
really, really smooth.
Yeah, it's got a nice hazy look to
Yeah.
it. It looks like it would have caramel in it.
It looks like it would have a.
You know, Jay, now that I'm trying it out of the can, I can kind of taste this
Yeah.
caramel overtone. That's really cool. So,
So,
beers are full.
yep.
What else do we love and hate about Game of Thrones?
Okay. So this is a theory that I loved, and I thought, man, it would be so cool if they could do it. And I haven't seen anybody else come up with this one. I'm not claiming it as my own, but my brain did think of it. I thought that Lyanna had twins that day.
Oh, yeah, I heard. Yeah.
I told you this one. Lyanna
I
had
loved it.
twins that day.
Yeah.
And that's why she died. So not only was it just a childbirth, but it was twins,
Yeah.
and it was in the middle of a tower with no doctor and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the twin was a girl, and her name was Mira.
Yeah.
So Mira,
Yeah.
Howland Reed's daughter,
Oh,
who
no shit.
ended up meeting up with Bran later on
Yeah.
with her brother Jojen,
Mhm.
and as they went to go see the Three-Eyed Raven.
Yeah.
And I know exactly one of the factors that led to that theory was that in the show, exact same hair.
In the books, completely different, though.
All right. So, but looking at the show, I'm like, Mira is a spitting image of
Yep.
Jon Snow.
Mhm.
Like, kind of. Like, and
If
same
the show
exact
told me
age.
they were brother and sister, I'd have believed it.
100%. They're the same age. So it would have made sense. Like, okay, you had Howland Reed, Ned's best friend. You know, Ned goes, dude, do me a solid. Take one of these babies. I'll take one. We both go home. All right, cool. And then the things they could have done with
Oh, absolutely.
it would have
I would have loved that.
it would have been a great story, I think. What was Mira's final line? Just okay, see ya.
Bye.
Cool thing about Mira. So when they're in the cave, she just picks up a sword and she starts fighting these skeletons coming in, the Harryhausen skeletons coming in. That sword was probably Bloodraven's, who is the Three-Eyed Raven. That sword was probably Dark Sister.
Shut up.
She's got herself a Valerian steel sword.
She went home with that?
I don't know. They killed it in the show.
And this segues into one of my disappointments of things that the show never mentioned. Not only did they leave Dark Sister out of the show other than mentioning it, aside from one flashback scene, Dawn is never brought into the show.
Yep.
It's
What a shame.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of a really big deal.
In fact, they just not bringing in House Dane at all.
Who has Dawn?
House Dane.
It's sitting on a wall at House Dane, waiting for someone to be worthy of wielding it.
Oh, Dawn is a sword?
Dawn's a sword. They don't they don't
Dawn-
work like other houses. They don't hand down their Valerian steel swords to the son. It basically goes to whoever's worthy of it.
It can be the firstborn son. It can be a distant cousin. Just as long as you are
You're
of the
a
Dane
Dane
family.
and you're a really good swords person.
Not just a real good swords person, a really good person.
Yep.
Yeah.
A true knight.
Oh.
Within the definition of true knight.
I would say more than anything else in the show, that sword is most like Excalibur.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's what it was sounding like, yeah.
Okay. Give you an idea of how cool this sword is. Forged from a fallen star, the crater upon which their castle was built.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Why is this not a video game that I'm playing right now?
Why was it not brought into the fold?
Why
Yeah,
doesn't
I
it
know.
have its own show?
I know, right? It sounds like there's a lot of stuff around Valerian steel swords that would have been super cool to have in the show.
And Dawn apparently has mostly the same properties as Valerian steel. It's lighter, it's sharper, it's harder. Only instead of dark and rippled, the blade is white.
Yep.
If I remember.
Yep.
And
I forget who has it, but somebody has a Valerian steel Arak in the show too. The curved blade that the Dothraki use. Someone has a Valerian steel Arak.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You could have had like a Magnificent Seven style thing where you got all these Valerian steel wielders up front as the generals leading this battle with everybody else with obsidian weapons behind you and a kick-ass scene.
they had the opportunity to give Sandor Clegane a Valerian steel greatsword, and they gave it to Jorah.
Why did they just, like, this is frustrating hearing all this cool stuff, and I'm like, why did they just not do any of this?
All these cool things they could have done.
This is awful.
So much cool things.
I mean, I guess that's something that I would like to see, more of if this House of the Dragon thing, gets done. It would be like more of a balance between like, okay, we get all this talking and character development, which we all love. Okay, it's great. Bring that in, and then let's really come on, man. I want to see the cool swords and the magic and shit.
Is this
and the backstories and like,
is this a segue into House of Dragons?
Can we hire like some badass swordsmen like choreographers too and like elevate that shit a little bit? Let's do some cool sword stuff. I mean them.
Yeah.
On Badass Swordsman for 1 minute. Has anyone seen the suit of armor, sword and shield MMA fights in Russia?
Yes.
I've seen a couple of those.
No,
yeah,
I
they
haven't.
look pretty brutal to be honest.
Just to keep it short, shield bashing with ground and pound is the meta.
What?
That is the overpowered build.
Yeah, they don't fuck around.
They don't even mess around with the swords or the maces. They take you to the ground and they punch you in the neck with their shield until you stop moving. And they have fully covered like.
So you can't even see if they're fucking conscious or not.
If they're alive or not.
This is Russian MMA?
Yes.
Motherfuckers.
Can I just tell you, since you
Russian
mentioned
MMA,
caramel
we
in
wear
this
full
beer,
armor.
Yeah.
I'm not tasting it when I'm drinking it, but after I put it down for a couple minutes, I kind of have that leftover caramelness in my mouth.
Yeah. There's one other thing that I wish happened, but didn't happen in the show. That should have happened, and I think would have made more sense. So if anybody wants to jump on this, please do. Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah.
What about it?
All right. Jon is now fighting Ramsay. No arguments about that scene.
Yeah.
Sitting there with bow and arrow and the shield. I'm feeling the energy.
Amazing scene. I was feeling that too. Yeah, we just talked about this the other night.
And he gets on top of him and he's just fucking pounding. Now, clearly it looks like he's going to just, pummel Ramsay to death.
Yep.
But Jon at one point looks up and Sansa has teleported.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Okay, fine. She's there now.
Sure.
So he looks up and now she's shocked.
She's
Imagine,
not
if
shocked.
you will.
She's saying, don't take my fucking kill. That one's mine.
Instead of stopping, how much more power would it have given the scene and Sansa overall as a badass? So Jon looks up, right? Sees Sansa. Sansa's got that look on her face, but instead goes,
Gives
keep
him
going.
the nod.
Gives them the nod. Keep going. Don't to end it right now.
I would have liked that too.
This is really frustrating. I watched that episode a long time ago. So Jon's killing Ramsay.
He's sitting on top. He's ground
and then
pounding.
he stops just because he sees Sansa.
Sansa steps up, and Sansa's got this look on her face like,
Why would that happen?
What are you doing?
That's awful.
It
And
should have
5
been
minutes later, she's sicking dogs on him.
right, which was badass, but
If she
That's
walked
right.
up,
That's right. Because they capture Ramsay, right?
Yeah.
And then the dogs eat him. Yeah.
if she'd walked up, well, at the last minute, as a last ditch effort, Ramsay accepts the single combat challenge.
But imagine how much power and how badass Sansa would have been right there
If she gave him the nod.
if she gave him the nod. Like,
Yeah, because I'm
Or if she
imagining.
at least blatantly said, I
if
want to
she-
do it.
Yeah, or if she just
Or
said,
if she just like picked the sword out of like a dead body and just stuck it in his neck.
Grabs a broken knife and just
Fuck that. She
It would've
flays
been-
him.
it would have been cool if she just gave him an order
Yeah.
and he followed it.
Sure.
Because that would have set the whole tone of like, Sansa's
Who's in
fucking
charge?
in charge. And there's no question about that.
that
on
would have been
whether
a
who's in
good,
charge.
empowering scene.
I
A
get-
very good empowering
I get
scene.
that, but what I'm thinking of is like, you picture Jon and, what he's just been through in the battle and his motivation to kill Ramsay. Like, there is no way he's losing that fight.
No.
Every single fiber.
I actually really like the part about that scene when he's walking towards them and he's got a few wildlings on the side of him. They already have their bows aimed at, what's his name, Ramsay?
Yeah.
And they're just watching Jon, and Jon's not giving him the signal. Just
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
were saying that Sansa should have, like Jon did not give them the
Yeah,
okay.
he's like, no.
And he's walking towards the guy's like, wait, why aren't
Yeah.
we fucking killing this guy?
There is no way that Ramsay had any chance of
Yeah.
winning against Jon Snow in that moment. And I think it's terrible that he didn't just pummel him right there in this.
If we're going to segue into House of the Dragon, one thing that they did in the show, that I'm glad they did it in hindsight because I really like the actors, but they really aged up a lot of the characters. Jon Snow was like 15 years old.
Yeah.
Arya was, 9? Rickon was 3?
Sure.
Maybe Arya was 8?
That's film.
That's
I
film.
don't know.
Again, yeah, sure.
I'm definitely more of an optimist when it comes to this show. I have trouble coming up with a lot of major gripes.
Well, there's so much
I
good
have
stuff to talk about, and
Well-
it just makes that final speed bump or that final
that's why
train wreck.
That's why I like
hurt that
talking
much
to you
more.
guys about it because you come up with stuff that I don't think of. So it's like it's super cool.
Fucking star
Makes me
metal
think-
sword.
Yeah. Yeah, makes me think about other parts of the show. And like it's part of the reason I go back and rewatch it because I catch so much stuff that we've talked about and other things that I miss. And stuff.
Yeah.
Great show.
I will say about season 8 though that battle was it episode 3, the Long Night, where they showed
The Long Night. Yeah.
the Army of the Dead. They had this one scene that I thought was really cool because I know everyone complains about how dark it was, and you didn't really see a lot of the action. But there was one scene where you're looking down the line as the Army of the Dead's coming up, and it's just this wave
Yeah.
that just.
I was gonna.
What are you gonna do?
Brutal.
Yeah. There was a couple
Put on
really
your
cool
plot armor and
parts
hope for the best.
of that episode. I thought a couple like really tense moments before they started fighting. Obviously, I'm sure you guys agree. A lot of my major gripes really happened in that episode. That's
Yeah.
where I started to call bullshit on
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because like that was season 8, right? The first episode, I think. First or
That
second?
was season 8, episode 3.
3. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I was already kind of like barely hanging on like by the end of season 7, and then I'm like, what is happening here?
And that battle should have been more of a series finale. I would have been happier if that were the folks to the end of the show.
It did seem odd to me that the Night King was a mid-season finale and Cersei was the season finale.
Mid-season finale and never mentioned again.
What's a Night King?
As was
What's
winter.
an army of dead?
Winter. What is winter? What is the longest winter that we've had in years, according to the Maesters?
Well, apparently it was magical, and when the Night King was killed, because magic.
So what's the gripe with the Children of the Forest? Why did they?
So the first men basically invaded the forest where the children of the forest were living, and they started cutting down their weirwood trees, and that was big no-no for the children of the forest. As far as
It makes really good arrows.
Sacred trees.
Yeah. Those trees that with the bleeding face on it.
Mm.
Yeah, that was where the children of the forest believed their ancestors lived.
So all the weirwood trees have faces on them?
Yes.
Interesting.
They're carved on.
Uh-huh.
But a weirwood tree, if never cut, will never die.
Interesting. I love that.
And that began a war.
The more I hear about the children of the forest, the more interested I am. They sound like cool to hang out with. Like, I wish we could have one of these beers with them, you know?
It's cool when
I think they're the elves of that universe.
kind of. Think of them more like
Like the Lord of the Ring elves.
half elf, half swamp thing.
Dryads.
Like
Dryads.
very leafy.
Yeah.
Woodland spirits, you know?
Oh, okay.
Kind of like that guy from Legend, what's his name?
Those little
Yeah,
shits.
but I don't imagine dryads sticking an obsidian dagger into a dude's chest tied to a tree.
they were desperate.
It's
They were desperate.
different universe. But yeah, they had like not really wars with the giants before that, but they
were
not
mortal
full
enemies.
out wars, but
they were
they
mortal enemies.
they didn't
would-
get along.
That
Yeah.
just seems like such a... That's like, what they did, creating the White Walkers over this, gripe they have over the First Men. It sounds like it sounds like they went to full nuclear before exploring diplomatic options.
Oh no, it was a
they
very
went full
last
nuclear
resort
before
thing.
that when they what did they say? They broke the neck. So there's this area in the continent known as the Neck, and it's the swampland where the reeds live. And that was caused by the children of the forest doing magic. They wanted to break the land in half to stop people from coming over and chopping down their trees. So they did that, but it didn't stop them.
Which is why the reeds will tell you before you think of invading the Neck, remember last time the ocean itself came to the Neck, not all of it left.
Yeah.
They live a very weird life in the Neck. It's like it's not normal houses and stuff.
Yeah, the houses move.
Magical
It's
swamp
like
people.
built on swampland, so the land is always shifting around.
Mhm.
Oh, they have, what do they call them?
Oh,
River lions or something, right? River lion?
something like that.
Something like that. It's a really cool term.
I wonder if the actors ever thought while they were reading the excerpts from the histories and lore clips,
Mhm.
I wonder if they ever thought, wow, they are not doing my character justice at all.
I don't know.
mean, except, Bobby B.
Bobby B.
Bobby B got done right.
Which one's Bobby B?
Robert
Baratheon.
Baratheon.
Oh, yeah. Well, his story was right there. I mean, he was 100% source material, and Ned did just fine.
He wasn't great at dodging.
Sean Bean. Sean Bean's character, Ned Stark. Since
Yeah,
we're
Ned
on
Stark.
actors, I've rewatched season 1, as I'm sure a lot of people have, at least 2 or 3 times. And one thing that really keeps me in awe is just how fucking good he is. Yeah, I feel like he really nailed Ned Stark. I mean, Sean Bean kind of has that look about him, anyways. But
Hell yeah.
but he really nailed it, like with his tone. His kind of drawn out drawl of dialogue, kind of like Clint Eastwood almost. Like
Yeah.
really,
Like, I've seen enough of war.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's like a pretty tough guy, and they even managed to.
But now I just want to see Brandon Stark even more, his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Brendan, not Brendan. Brendan.
Yeah.
Brendan Stark. Because apparently he was a badass motherfucker.
He was definitely the superior fighter.
I'm definitely someone who's very, very interested in, a show like Game of Thrones or the next thing they do, like showing like the levels of badassness and really kind of like defining, like, I like seeing that shit.
I feel
I like
like
seeing
Game
these
of
guys fight
Thrones
and, like,
tries to
get a-
take all the badass people
Yeah.
and expose their weaknesses
Yeah.
and how easy it is to get picked off by mundane shit
Mm-hmm.
and kind of
Sneak attacks.
Spear in the leg.
right. And then
boar.
you have
Yeah.
the evil people and how they tend to stick around
Mm-hmm.
way longer than
Sure.
they would in your typical movie or storytelling adventure.
They do a really good job in the show of letting you know this is the bad guy. But in the books, it's a little bit more vague than that. All depends on whose point of view chapter you're reading. But you think, the Starks, they represent all that's good, and the Knights of the Vale, and the Arryns, and the Tullys, a river run. They're all good.
Would be my good guys if I had good guys.
So, check this out. Back when...
like the Blackfish was badass.
Absolutely. So back when the Mad King was still around, and he was still the Mad King, they had this big tournament or Rhaegar set up this big tournament. The
Tournament at Harrenhal.
Tournament at Harrenhal.
At Harrenhal, yeah.
And everyone was there. And he was supposed to make this big announcement about how he was going to overthrow his father. The reason he probably did that is because there's the Southern ambitions theory. Not really a theory. It was semi-confirmed in the books. So the Northern Lords, the Starks, the Tullys, the Arryns, all kind of got together and were low-key conspiring to overthrow the Targaryens. The North didn't really marry outside the North. Why would Brendan be marrying Catelyn? Then the Arryns kind of got into it, and it was like this big underground thing. Rhaegar got wind of it, and however how mad people thought Aerys was, he was always one step ahead. He was so paranoid, like he manufactured all of these conspiracies that were going against him.
Once in a while,
right.
he'd catch a real one.
Dude, he almost always caught them all.
Well, what's the saying? Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yep.
Well, he did have the spider in his heyday.
Yep. But yeah, these guys were all plotting. So when he went and he burned Ned Stark's dad and his brother, and then called for the heads of all the people that were part of the Southern Ambition plot.
Really?
Really, really. It was confirmed by Lady Dustin.
That is an awesome story, but like, it doesn't really paint those houses as
I agree with Brew.
as being bad, does it? I mean, they would have
You had a
Depends on
Mad
which
King.
side you're on. If you're running a kingdom and these guys, you hear they're going to overthrow you. Yeah, they're the bad guys.
I get what you're saying.
And that's why Rhaegar went and held this tournament. He's like, guys, chill. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to take care of it right now. And then the fucking king showed up. And that's when the whole thing started. That's when the whole plot pivoted. Everyone still got what they wanted because Rhaegar and Lyanna eloped. And then all the Northern Lords and the River Lords and the Vale, the Lords of the Vale were like, it's time to go, guys. It's time to go to fucking war. So the plot would have been Hoster Tully, Jon Arryn. I don't know Ned Stark's father's name.
Daddy Stark.
Daddy Stark.
Rickard?
Rickard,
right?
Might have been Rickard.
Rickard.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Dickon.
Brendan. So all these guys, like
Poor
all the
Dickon.
big major players, this was their time. So it basically, they knew that Rhaegar didn't kidnap Lyanna. Everyone knows Rhaegar. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Lyanna. No one's kidnapping Lyanna.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think you know, but you're not kidnapping her.
Right.
It just allowed them the opportunity it's go time.
Yeah.
Now's our chance. And they succeeded.
It was their Archduke of Ferdinand moment.
Yep.
It was their
Yep. So it's
excuse
not
to
the way they
go into
wanted it
war.
to go down, but it was the catalyst that allowed them to move forward.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
One thing I thought that was interesting that Mikey pointed out to me was how Catelyn Stark was really kind of an instigator.
Oh, very much.
And I get
She
something.
was manipulated into being an instigator.
Well, she was also kind of manipulative, especially when it came to her son.
She just straight up didn't like
Well, that's
Jon
why.
Snow.
And
No, I
Ned
meant
knew it too.
the general.
Rob.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When I watched through the first couple seasons again, with keeping that in mind, you really, when you pay attention to what she's saying,
One of the
she's
recurring
very
themes.
much looking out for herself.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like a
think of it-
personal revenge thing, and she's risking a lot.
Think of it this way, though. Every time Rob defied her advice, he paid a heavy price. He suffered heavy consequences every time he didn't listen to her.
Gotta listen to your mother.
Cite your
Mhm.
examples.
When she believed that he should keep Lord Karstark hostage,
Mm-hmm.
so he wouldn't lose half of his army.
Good point. Good
He
point.
executed him, and he lost half his army. Or when she told him,
Don't be fucking around with that girl.
don't be fucking around with that girl. Do not cross Walder Frey. You have, right now, you are his best bet.
Yeah.
Keep it that way and worry about the rest later. But I love her.
That girl was a spy, by the way.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
So interesting. Those were great points. And she's a spy. That's crazy.
She was a spy. She used to write her letters.
It seems like such
in
a
Valerian
tragic
because
story,
she
but
knew
when
no
you
one in
throw
the North
those
could read
points into
Valerian.
it, it's even more tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just wasn't paying attention
What was that for?
and thinking with his his piece.
He was manipulated. Yeah, she was totally a
Well,
spy. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Well, how could you not be manipulated by her?
He was also 15 in
You know
the
that was
books.
Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter?
That's even more interesting. That's so cool.
Yeah.
What?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Really?
Really, really.
I used to watch a lot of
Granddaughter,
Charlie Chaplin when
great-granddaughter?
I was a kid, believe it or not.
Oh.
I really enjoyed his stuff for some reason. My mom used to put it on. I don't know where. It might have been on freaking Channel 2.
Should have listened to Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have.
But that's kind of the recurring theme on the show is that the
You could have had
Undying
Rosalind Frey.
maternal love. And we're going to see a lot of that in House of the Dragon, too, because that's kind of what the show is about. Yeah, the throne is the goal, but it's really about mothers trying to save their children.
I want to explore that more because that's a really good deep point.
I hear a butt coming on.
One more humorous point is that Rob kind of jokingly acknowledged how badly he fucked up moments before his death.
What?
I could be up there eating grapes from the hand of Rosalind Frey. I might have made a terrible mistake. But he was joking. And then he got shot.
Yep.
And stabbed.
Rob.
And decapitated.
Man, there's been like two moments in TV history I can think of that like kind of like gave you like a sinking feeling in your gut.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, so the Red Wedding. I was actually laying in bed watching that episode, and you know, we didn't move for like 10, 15 minutes. We were just like stuck there, and then we were like, "Oh my god, that was so terrible!" Like, if you, like, you just feel dirty. Like, it was just such a raw murder scene, and you know, characters that you love, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so
I knew
terrible."
it was coming, so I was just watching Liz. I was watching my wife the whole time,
Yeah, right.
waiting for her reaction.
And then the very next episode, you see Joffrey's giggly smiley face.
Yeah, he's really awful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He said he wanted Rob's head brought so he can give it to Sansa for her birthday or something.
For a wedding feast.
Wedding feast.
Yep.
Oy. That fucking kid.
I didn't think his death was very satisfying.
I was
A lot of people
satisfied.
were like so happy. They're like, "Oh yeah, he's dead." Like, I wanted him to get throttled by someone, just handled.
And the little shit still had time to point at frickin' Tyrion. I don't think he would have the brains to do that. He would just sit there and
I think he was just twitching.
he just would have choked on the ground.
He could have wrote down Olenna Tyrell,
he didn't know.
and Cersei still would have had Tyrion arrested.
Pigeon pie.
So how are we feeling after these 2 pints? The first one was
Drunk.
7.5. This is 8.2.
Yeah,
I feel fine. We had
got
a
a
couple of
buzz
chicken
on.
sandwiches before you
We're gonna
got
do
here.
number 3. I think
ready.
we should.
I'm ready.
I could do number 3.
If you say so.
Yeah, no, that second one packed a wallop. Kev, I'm looking at you to get up.
Maybe it's my turn.
He's the furthest away. He should do it.
Bananas and blow. I love that art.
There's no bananas in this beer. Thank you for the disclaimer. Barewolf.
Really? It says that?
Yeah, it says there's no bananas in this beer. Okay.
Awesome. Let me see this can. Bananas. This label reminds me of some
I
other
was,
product. All right.
I was worried.
Hefeweizen with spelt.
4.7%.
Bananas and blow. Awesome.
I really dig their kind of minimalist can design, too.
Yeah, they stick out. You know, definitely. Like, I have a couple nice beer shops in my house, as I'm
Mike.
sure you guys do. And, you know, a lot of the cans, they're very busy.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to I'll look at stuff and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know, you feel like, I feel like I'm being forced to label shop almost. Like they're all trying desperately to get your attention.
I never would have thought to grab Safe Space based on the label.
Yep.
That is a terrible label. But it's so terrible it's funny. Like, you know,
Yeah.
unicorns and rainbows.
The
and
first
shit.
time I had it, I got it on draft. And I was just like, wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
And
pretty
I
good.
used the tracker. I'm like, oh, they sell it, you know, down the road in Derry. So I went and picked it up. It's like $20 for a 4-pack, but I thought the beer was totally worth that.
Right.
Pick it up. It's like, oh, rainbows and Pegasus.
Yeah. I bought some expensive 4-packs. I don't mind if I know it. If I,
I don't
know
mind.
what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Fill
Okay,
up the
we cracking?
fridge.
Hell yeah.
Crack 'em.
Release the Kraken. Oh man, this smells really interesting.
What did you do?
I'm going to get that nice.
Come on,
pour sound.
Barewolf. What do you got for me here?
Oh, that is actually kind of refreshing on my end. I don't care what
all
you
right.
guys say.
I gotta be honest. Between the name and the smell, I was like, this is not gonna be good. But I'll be damned, it's fucking delicious.
That is clear.
That's like the perfect thing to have after that double IPA
Yeah,
for me.
It is.
So I
yeah.
just poured it, and I'm noticing the head disappears pretty quickly, which is exactly what I want to happen in a Hefeweizen. I don't want that, foamy head to stick around. That's going. It's just about gone now.
That's really delicious.
I might have poured a little aggressively for the sake of the sound.
I'm not gonna lie. I was scared of this one for some reason because their
A bit of a
beers
sour note to it.
Yeah. Their
For
beer-
one, I thought there was actually going to be banana in it.
I did too. Yeah. It's actually nice and clear tasting. It's got a little bit of like I want to say like some kind of peppery thing in the back. Tasting a tiny bit of citrus, like maybe a tiny bit of lemon.
I'm tasting. It almost had like a bready quality, like a yeasty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that too. I'm pleasantly surprised by this one. Not gonna lie, I really thought it was gonna suck. Sorry, Beowulf.
Does
Even
not
their
suck.
IPAs, they're very unconventional,
I like that.
Is that the idea? All right, guys, we got to practice ripping on a beer. Let's try this.
No, I'm not ripping on them at all, but I give them a lot of credit because they're different and they have a really cool philosophy. I mean, I would go there again if I'm an Amesbury.
It's definitely a ballsy philosophy.
Yeah.
I got all the
appreciate
respect in the world for that.
It's got to be working for people in the area because, I mean, they've been open for 4 years and, making beer ain't easy.
And they're remaining open and busy. And
Yeah, I give them
in the
all the
worst
credit in
times.
the world.
So I just hopped on Untapped real quick,
What?
and I noticed one of the things on the flavor profile on this
yeah.
is clove.
There it is.
How do you like that? That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
Nailed
don't
it.
like it anymore.
Okay.
I like it even
Well, I mean, I
more.
like putting names to the flavors
Yeah.
because it kind of helps me translate
Sure.
a little bit. I don't like guessing, like, what is that? What is that?
Right.
I like to guess.
You like to guess?
I like to guess too, but I guess completely wrong. I was tasting something. I couldn't
You're
put my
tasting
finger on
it. Just say what you taste.
Right. Cloves. I used to smoke cloves. Yes. Remember Beatties?
I do remember beaties. Those
Our man
were-
Jay here used to own a smoke shop many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And I used to go up there and watch anime and eat pad thai and smoke Beatties.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
I can't judge on the cloves, however disgusting I think they are, because I was smoking Swisher Sweets for a little while.
Yeah, no,
Don't
you can't.
brag about that.
You can't.
I'm not
Yeah.
bragging.
I
I'm
used to
confessing.
one of my first construction jobs, I was working at a company and there was this guy who, I'm going to be really non-specific, right? But he was this big, tough guy. He was in charge. Huge man. Very intimidating. One day he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, you're doing the coffee run. Can you go and get me a pack of grape Swisher Sweets?"
Say grape.
I look at him. I'm like, "Yo, that's what you smoke?" He's like, "What?" "Nothing, man. Whatever." So,
I don't smoke them, I chew them.
yeah, right. Yeah, he probably did. He probably ate like 2 at a time, this motherfucker. His hands were the size of my head, and I have a fucking enormous head.
We all do.
Mine is deceptively large. I wear a 7.5 hat.
You can wear hats?
I've never got
Head.
moved.
Thing's got its own orbit.
Things like Sputnik.
He's probably going to cry himself to sleep on his huge pella.
I believe that was the first R-rated movie I ever saw.
That's so
So I
interesting.
married an ex-murderer.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Excellent movie.
Did you guys hear they're doing a 5th Predator movie?
Who
I
cares?
just saw the headline today. I did not click on it.
They're doing another one.
So wait. They're doing another Predator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Prometheus was kind of a letdown, and I was super
No.
excited for that.
Prometheus was not a letdown.
I thought Prometheus was good.
It was a letdown for me.
No.
Go ahead and explain it.
It was a very, very ambitious story. I was much more invested and entertained when it was a space junker crew that found an egg.
Well, you got that on the next Alien movie. Have you seen the Covenant?
Covenant, yes, I saw it.
I thought it was.
I did not.
I thought it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Just as good as any other Alien movie. And there was some scary scenes in that shit. That was a good movie. I thought. whatever. I'm doing
Yeah, I
fucking
thought the
crazy.
android fight scene was a little silly.
House of the Dragon.
What about it?
I don't know.
It's going to be a fucking civil war.
There's going to be a civil war. It will be a civil war, but the information that we're given from the book Fire and Blood is all very one-sided information, so I'm hoping we get to explore different perspectives on that. I know we will. Obviously we will.
So what's our fear with the writing on this?
My fear is that with how many dragons are going to be potentially involved, that is going to be their get-out-of-jail-free card for writing a good show.
No, they have an opportunity here. They know what the gripes are from the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones, and they know that people are going to be starving for this. So they have an opportunity to do it right and kind of have this go down as legendary status again. If they just kind of keep the same type of quality character development that they have, you know, in the first 4, 5, 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. And for me, I would want to see more visceral combat. I would like to see that stepped up a little bit, just for my own
It will be
enjoyment. Like, you know, more like, I guess.
Can I just see someone who's awesome with a giant two-handed sword?
Yeah, I mean,
Please.
you know, all that stuff would be, you know, I want to see, like, you know, kung fu style stuff.
I have
you know,
all the respect in the world for Half-Thor Bjornsson, but his sword choreography was awful.
horrendous. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty simple. Give us good characters, good story and character development that makes sense. Don't fuck it up. You'll be legends forever. You have all the source material in the world. Do it right.
My biggest fear is going to turn into a soap opera. Just don't turn it into every other show where every season you need to do character reintroduction or reintroduction. Just keep it going, keep it smooth.
Right.
You know,
Assume your audience
don't
understands
pull
what's
me
happening.
out of the story
Right.
to tell me what I already know.
There's
God, I
so
hate
much
that.
happening.
I hate that when movies like wave it right in your face, like, see this, see this, see this, see this.
Remember
like,
this?
I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
One of my other fears is, like I was saying earlier, I don't want them to age up a lot of the characters, because a lot of the characters in this story are going to be children.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to be children to have the same effect of their death to carry weight.
I mean, it's a challenge when you're
gets us going?
filming something, though. I mean,
Sure.
That's interesting, because what we're going to want is exceptional acting. And are you going to get that from a cast of ultra young, you know, newcomers that look the part? You know, what if they don't focus on the ages and kind of just, you know.
It's not just the exceptional acting, though, because the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones was exceptional acting, editing, writing. It just seems
Right.
just like it just slid together perfectly.
Sure.
I don't think you're going to be able to mimic that.
because this show is so dependent on dragons, I know I was talking to you before we started recording, but I'm a little bit worried that the dragons might look cheap.
I don't think
gonna
they'll look cheap, because I think once you invent the technology to do the animation, it exists. Now it's there.
They're going to,
Yeah.
if they don't invest in quality special effects, they should know, if they don't already, that they're going to lose an enormous amount of revenue, because people are automatically going to write off the show.
Yeah, they're going to watch one episode and be like, this is shit. Now I'm not watching.
I like your sock puppet dragon.
People are, a large part of the fan base is already on the fence because of the letdown of the last season, and it's like,
Yeah.
they have to do this right, or they're going to do it cheaply and just cash in for the casuals or whatever. You know,
I suppose neither scenario would surprise
I mean,
me.
it could go either way, I guess. I don't know.
I would be perfectly fine with an animated series.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yep.
There's no excuse to make it look anything less than fantastic at that point. And I don't have to worry about sucky actors either.
Did they mention Cregan Stark?
No,
No.
That's my
not
knowledge.
that I've seen yet.
Guys.
Anyway,
Cregan Stark was the fucking man.
Tell us about Cregan Stark.
Cregan Stark.
What's a Cregan?
What's a Cregan?
Tell me about the Kurgan.
So Cregan Stark, they swore for the blacks in this war, and
It was the
It's
blacks and the
versus
greens,
the
right?
greens.
the blacks and the greens. The blacks were the side that Viserys had said we're going to inherit the throne. The greens were the ones who felt they should inherit it. Basically, first wife, second wife, first children,
Right.
second children.
Mhm.
children with the second wife. So Cregan Stark comes down with the old wolves of Winterfell, all the guys, like, because, winter's coming, et cetera, et cetera. So all these older guys were basically coming down to...
Mike, we can't afford to talk about the wolves. Fuck you, D&D.
Yeah.
Continue.
He came down with all his, the soldiers of Winterfell, and they took some heavy casualties, but they came down kind of expecting to die. They were all the older men. And oftentimes during winter, the older guys will say, hey, I'm going to go hunting, and that's code for I'm going to go and die in the snow so I don't eat your food so the young can survive. So they went down, fought
Going
the war.
on the proverbial iceberg.
Yeah. So Cregan Stark actually sat on the throne for a day and executed almost everyone that betrayed the Black's throne.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a pretty badass moment.
So
worth a read.
this was an army of Starks that were too old.
Not Starks, but Northmen.
Northmen that were too old to be supported by the society. So they came down, but they were still badass.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't super soldiers. Like I said, they took heavy losses. A lot of them died, and a lot of them didn't even go back home. They sold their swords in the south, and a lot of them, stayed and took mistresses and wives.
So it's like they went down to a warmer climate to retire and die.
They're snowbirds.
Like there's a parallel.
That's funny. That's wicked funny. Who are these wolves again?
A lot of times for the northern people, they give them wolf nicknames.
Oh, okay.
So Ned Stark was the quiet wolf. His brother Brendan was the wild wolf. And what was the younger brother's name? The one that was at the Night's Watch?
Benjen.
Benjen was a young wolf. Something like that.
No, Rob was the young wolf.
Good
What was
old Benjen.
The Black Wolf?
I gotta say, if I was the actor who was Benjen Stark in the series, I'd be pretty happy with myself. He was pretty awesome.
He was pretty awesome.
He just showed up.
Shows up right when you need him to.
I mean, he showed up, 3-4 times in the
Yeah.
whole thing?
Yeah.
Always had a cool weapon.
Drink this bunny.
Dude, he's awesome. I loved him just kind of showing up when he saved John. He had that flaming magic mace thing.
There's no time. Just get on the fucking horse.
Yeah.
No.
No, I can't.
All right.
So I got a lot of fears. I think a lot can go wrong, but I think HBO is well aware of popular opinion and how season 8 went down and season 7 to some people.
I really hope they do the right thing and go all out, and give us some really good.
I don't know that lightning strikes twice. I would watch it. But honestly, I would probably watch anything with dragons and magic. And
well, I
swords.
mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of destruction and backstabbing and crazy shit. So
Do we know how many
I'm
seasons
gonna watch
this is going to be?
No idea. And the Civil War was 2 years long, so...
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to start with the Civil War. It's House of the Dragon. It's not Dance of the Dragon. So
Yeah.
are we going to see the events building up to
Well,
it?
what if they do like 1 or 2 seasons of this and then they do House of the Lion?
Or the first war against the White Walkers.
There you go.
You start the show, you're already in the war against the children of the forest.
Dunk and Egg. I would watch that. I know everything that happens. I would still watch Dunk and Egg.
I don't know. I've already read a graphic novel on it.
Yeah. That's what they are.
So it's like I feel like I've already seen a good version of it, and I don't want to see them fuck it up.
Fair point.
You be quiet
To
now.
not retain it.
My mother got me 2 bottles of whiskey because I've been taking care of her during this pandemic. I've been going out, getting the food, running the errands, making the dinners, and she got me 2
You're a good
bottles of
son.
whiskey.
Ooh, it's a cork. That's a good sign.
There's
You're
a
a good
cork
son.
in that. Are you opening it?
I opened it.
Are we taking a shot of whiskey?
Yeah, do you want to take the first shot?
Are we not even? We're not even putting it in
Did you
glasses.
want to take the first shot?
All right, just
have
pass it around.
glasses.
Fuck it.
Did you want it? Because you ain't gonna.
It's wrapped in leather at the top, so I mean, it's good.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's good.
Is that a good ooh or a bad ooh?
It's just an.
That's a good ooh, but it's
Is
my
it-
only one.
Is that a ooh?
It's good. It's good.
It's
It's
supposed
got
to-
leather on top. How bad can it be?
Oh,
This is 4 Roses whiskey.
We are drinking whiskey, aren't we?
It's a sipping whiskey. Easy.
Oh, that's
Take it
lovely.
easy.
It's actually quite lovely.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's all right.
That's that
Four
went down
Roses
okay.
single barrel Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
It's very nice. Please put the cork in it.
I'm putting the cork in it.
Thank you.
It's actually really nice.
So I'm
It's
saying.
actually like,
If you didn't want us to drink it, you wouldn't
from
have left it
Mikey's
out.
ooh, I was like, oh, what is it?
No,
Charcoal?
that was a good
What is it?
ooh.
Oh, it's
was a
really
good
good.
It wasn't a good ooh face.
It was a
whiskey
whiskey
face.
face.
Jesus
Grow your
Christ.
beard back. You don't make good faces without your beard.
That is almost refreshing whiskey. Like, I want to, like, just drink that shit.
Please don't.
I
It
won't.
was a gift.
But, man, that is one of the
what do you
lightest,
find me nice,
smoothest
Jay, is
40% liquors I've ever had.
If we can bring that bottle to Bike Week,
Yeah.
Oh, it's
We'll
going
take care of
down. Let's go bye-bye. We can't... when was the last time we even put down a bottle of Bike Week?
Last year. Literally.
we put
This past summer.
we put down a bottle on the kayak trip this year.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, let's talk about House of the Dragon some more. What else you got, Jay?
I got talking about our fears and our hopes.
Hopes do not fulfill my fears.
It's a tough time. I mean, I feel like especially for us, you know, we lament about a lot of stuff. This show has a really solid opportunity to give us something really epic and visceral. I mean, the things that made Game of Thrones such a phenomenon, where it's, you know, its quality and its brutality in those first couple seasons. I mean, the show was fucking huge. They were on the cover of every magazine at 7-Eleven every time I went there. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like, just give us the good shit, man. Give us the good dragons.
Everything that we hope and fear right now is obviously all speculative because
Of course.
they haven't even started filming yet.
They haven't announced the plot. This is
They
pure
have not
theory
announced a plot.
that we're talking about right now.
And all of our fears are based off of the very end of what was otherwise an amazing show.
Which is valid. But all
Correct.
we know for sure is that they've cast one person, seems a middle-aged gentleman,
Exactly. That's what I was
for
going to say.
King Viserys.
Right.
Yep.
And
But
all the
all that
speculation
does is like
built
give
off
me a
that.
start of a timeline or a snippet of a timeline. I know that there will be a King Viserys that's X amount of years old.
Could be
You
a
know.
flashback.
Could be a flashback. We have no idea where this is going to take place.
Most
time-wise.
likely it will be the Civil War. Most likely.
If we're talking hopes, I almost don't want to say I hope they don't focus on the incest. Because there's going to be so much of it.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
So much of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know with the Targaryens, it's kind of
It's the thing.
it's insane. Hopefully, they can balance it with, you know, stories from other places and make it all make sense. So it's not just constantly, you know, that brutal. But you know, I don't know.
Speaking of incest, we touching tips or what? What's going on, guys?
Bro tips.
No fucking way, dude. I got the smallest feet here. It ain't happening.
Oh,
Sitting in a room with a bunch of fucking missing links.
Shit. I just hope it kind of scratches the itch, the sci-fi itch, or not sci-fi, but high fantasy itch that I
Sure.
feel like hasn't really been filled in a while.
Could have been filled by The Hobbit. Wasn't.
Well, we have an upcoming episode that we'll be talking about. We have Lord of the Rings coming to Amazon
They're doing a Silmarillion.
next year.
Did you guys read the Silmarillion?
The Silmarillion is a much easier read when you accept that you're going to be flipping back and forth between where you're reading and where the glossary is a lot.
You need charts.
You need to keep looking up and updating what stuff is, because it is not told in order.
Yep.
It is not told in a coherent storytelling
It's very
mode.
biblical.
Yeah. Fuck you guys that wrote Happy Feet. That was the unhappiest movie about penguins I've ever seen in my life.
This guy's a phony.
I'm going to go watch Surf's Up and feel good about myself.
And I know a lot about penguin movies.
I suppose
Fully
this is
endorse
Let me tell you
Surf's
something
Up.
about penguin movies.
I suppose this is a bad time to mention The Land Before Time.
Never a bad time. Nah, never a bad time.
Oh, shit. Well, I think we're toast.
We are toast.
This is what we call Off the Rails.
Yep.
All right. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So we're at section 3.
All right.
Next episode.
I got this. Shh. Everybody quiet. Shh.
I can do this. Shut up. Shh.
I can do it myself.
Fuck off. Hey, brew.
Oh, God. All right.
I love when Mikey bums cigarettes off me because this kid has bought me more packs of cigarettes than, I don't know, a lot.
All right. Well, that's all from us. I encourage all of you to go to Barewolf Brewing in Amesbury, Massachusetts, and say hi to Matt and the team.
As do I. Worthy venture.
You can check out what's on tap on their website, barewolfbrewing.com. If you enjoyed this episode of Draft Bastards, we would certainly appreciate if you subscribed. You could visit us at draftbastards.com and on Facebook and Instagram at draftbastards, all one word. Drop us a like and say hey. For our next episode, Kevin will be picking the beer, and we will discuss life, the universe, and everything, which is another way of saying we haven't picked a topic yet. So, thank you very much.
I thought that was a good topic.
It is a good topic. We'll figure it out. All right. We out.
Peace.
Later.
Cheers.
Bye.